Welcome to the Superhuman Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my guest today, Tommy Mello. He has been the leader in the home service industry. He's been able to build A1 garage doors to $220 million plus across 20 different states and rapidly growing. That's an old number, I'm sure. He's been published in so many of the best magazines, Entrepreneur, Forbes, all those places. He has his own book that's super amazing. You should definitely check it out, Elevate, for all this different industries about how to build a super amazing team. And he has his own podcast, the Home Service Expert Podcast. It's the top 10 show on Apple when it comes to business, where he interviews guests and help them to share their information about how to unlock amazing levels of business and to build a superhuman business. So definitely be sure to check that out. All right, welcome to the Superhuman Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm here with the man, Tommy Mello. And we're going to pick his brain for all the knowledge to help you become the best entrepreneur you can and become superhuman. So, Tommy, known you for a while, but I want to know, what do you love about being an entrepreneur?
You know, I thought entrepreneurship meant I get to make my own hours and I get to be my own boss. That is not true. It's hard work, especially when you grow to this size. We're almost at 1,000 people. I call them coworkers, but what I love is that what I've done a great job of is hiring for my weaknesses, and I get to walk into work and do what I love. Now, it took years to get there, so I don't want people to get confused and think, wow, I get to be an entrepreneur. I get to always walk in because I had to do the hard stuff first. I had to come in and do everything I hated. I hate payroll. I hate accounting. Those are things that the first things I hired for were the things I hated the most. So now it's fun because I just maintained the vision. And we're going to be North America's largest, most trusted garage door company. But it's cool because I get to meet guys like you. People take my phone calls. Very limited people in any population are cut out to be hunters and entrepreneurs. And most businesses fail. And it sounds great. I know how to do the work. I might as well go into it. Well, you got to learn leadership. You got to learn how to delegate. You got to learn all these other attributes. And my buddy Leland runs a $550 million company. And when his employees are like, I'm going to go start my own thing, like one of the technicians, he goes, well, you better take her with you because she handles payroll. You better take the marketing guy. You better make sure you take the finance guy. You better make sure. I tell people all the time, you might be better as an entrepreneur. Go find a great company where you could raise your kids and make great money and maybe get a chance at making equity, because business is tough, man. I've had 6 technicians die. I've had 3 trucks flip over. I had to close 4 markets in one day. I had to write checks from my equity line to make payroll. I was the last one to own a new truck out of our entire fleet. My mom worked for me. I had to fire 2 of my best friends. I had to fire a cousin. It's hard. I love being an entrepreneur, but a lot of people are 3 feet from gold. They just got to keep pushing through the hard times. Focus on systems, standard operating procedures, and checklists versus just thinking, I'm going to go start a business. And it's very nice when it goes successful, but I never went on a real vacation. I was always worried. I'm always in my own head. Now I've been able to relax a little bit more because I've got a really strong foundation. My leadership is really strong. So I built a business that I don't even need to be here. Hence, I have time for podcasts and go speaking. I love to explore and learn new things and bring them back to A1.
So many different things there. You kind of touched on all that, which is, I think, what makes a good entrepreneur is they want to know all those things and learn all those things and build all that. And like you said, if there's something you don't want to do, you find someone that can help you to do it and do that. So, but overall, I think it comes down to maintaining that vision. And so how has your vision evolved over time to where it is now to where it was, back in the early days?
I always had a big vision. I always thought I was going to be big. I got slapped in the face and failed a lot. I think what makes an entrepreneur great is the ability to fail fast. I say the same mistake made twice is a choice. So the vision started out, we're going to do this and we're going to be very good at it. I've got a bags, cornhole. I've got a coach because I like to win. I've had to receive coaching from every aspect of life. I don't have kids yet. I'm not married, but I will have coaches for that. And what I'm looking for is a pattern of success. I'm looking for people that have great children, that have raised great kids, that are respectful, that actually play outside. I'm not going to go read a bunch of books and go to Instagram for that. I'm going to success leaves clues. And so I think the vision started out as I'm going to be the best at this I possibly can, but I realized real quickly that HVAC was 3 decades ahead. So I started studying HVAC. I actually took plane rides, 2,000 miles to go visit $100 million plus shops. And they invited me in. They said, this little boy, this little garage door shop, I'll give him everything I know because he's eager and he's willing to ask the questions and he's taking notes. And he actually seems like he'll implement some of this stuff. That's the one thing the grandfathers, the people that have made it in the real world, they want to teach the next generation. And they loved me because I'd actually show up humble. I'd take notes, I'd smile, and I'd be respectful and courteous, and I'd go do it. But it's a tough ride. It's a ride that I would do over and over again. But if people ask me, would you do it all again if you had to start over from scratch with what I knew? I'm 41. I can't wait till I'm 60 to be successful. It was 2 decades. So luckily I got started in my early 20s.
All right. So definitely your skills, your abilities, your systems leads to your opportunities. And so we already talked about how you've been filling in, the sales, the payroll, all those different systems and skills that you developed over time. So and I know you coach with a lot of businesses as well, a lot of entrepreneurs. So where do you think the gaps are for a lot of entrepreneurs when they're building out their skills and their capabilities that's holding back their value?
The number one thing is there's 168 hours in a week. You spend 50 working, you spend 50 sleeping if you're doing good at sleep. You still got 68 hours left. People say they don't have the time because I find them doing minuscule tasks. They're doing email all day. They're putting out fires. They're not creating systems. So the biggest thing I see is like an executive assistant pays its weight in gold. Like if you could get somebody at $30 an hour, I used to say 10. If you could find somebody to do this stuff like book your flights, like arrange stuff with your family, like pick the restaurant out, like you know what we like. Like it takes a while for them to get to know you and adapt. So you're taking a couple steps back to take 10 steps forward. But you got to buy back your time. You got to figure out ways. You shouldn't be doing the landscaping unless you absolutely love cutting roses and mowing the lawn. Buy back as much time as possible. And like the E-Myth, work on the business, work on the manuals, work on the checklists. So many people, they go back to doing the work because they get buried. And they're like, I'm the only one that's going to do it right. But don't forget all the mistakes you made in the beginning. And then we get so hard on people when they make a mistake. Cool, you made a mistake. Did you learn from it? Then let's move forward. And as you're growing, you're more accepting of mistakes. And people fall, but try to fall forward and get back up. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Well, I think you talked about leadership a little bit earlier, and I think that's key when you're building out your team. So any like quick story that you have that, someone on your team might be new, a new system, new something there, but you were able to show leadership and share leadership through their mistakes and help everyone get better?
Well, I'll tell you this. We used to have the call center internally before COVID happened and we had to get everybody. We actually went to let them work from home and it's worked. But one of the times, so we had a call come in from Oklahoma City and one of the gals says, oh my gosh, Tommy, I wish you were in here. I just lost a call because I wasn't sure if we could get out there quick enough. And I'm like, call back the customer right now. And she called back the customer and I said, hey, Miss Jones, how are you? It's Tommy speaking. I'm actually the founder of A1 Garage Door Service. And she goes, great. She goes, so great. Thank you for calling back. She's like, I actually found another company. And I go, oh, really? What do you mind if I ask what company you chose? And she said, ABC Garage Doors. And I said, that's great. When are they going to be out there? She goes, 2 to 4 hours. And it was already 7 o'clock at night. Like this was going to be a late call. And it was earlier in Phoenix, obviously, because there's a 2-hour gap. And I said, well, what if I told you I could get a guy there in 20 minutes and I'll waive the trip charge. I'll waive the emergency fee. And she goes, oh, that's great, Tommy, but I already booked with them. And I feel bad calling them back to cancel now. And I said, no problem. Why don't I call them for you? You gave me the name of the company. I'll cancel for you. And she starts laughing and she's like, oh, you're so persistent. I really want to do business. And I'm like, Miss Jones, listen, we're going to do the right way, not the easy way. We're going to take care of you. He could be there in 20 minutes. Let's just get this fixed and get out of your hair. And she's like, well, let me call them, Tommy. So she calls back 5 minutes later. I answered the phone. She goes, I'm going with you. I canceled them. And I high-fived everybody in the call center. I led by example. And I'll never ask anybody to do anything I won't do. I'll never ask them to take out the garbage if I don't take out the garbage. I'm out there in the parking lot cleaning up stuff every day. I was just in the bathroom earlier. There was 2 paper towels. I just picked them up. They were wet. I don't care. I'm there to lead by example. And we've got core values. We've got a mission, vision. And to live at that standard and lead from up front is important. And I think a lot of people expect, well, I don't do that stuff. I'm not the cleaning lady. Like, you got to be willing to do anything that you're asking anybody else to do. If your desk is a mess, they're allowed to have a messy desk. If you're late for meetings and not engaged, they're allowed to be late for meetings and not engaged. And I think a lot of people miss that.
So I kind of want to go off on a different direction with that too, but it's still about that standard, because I know I've known you now for a little bit over a year, and I've been able to witness you kind of upping your standard when it comes to your health and your works on that. And so how has that focus and improvement on that journey impacted your business, your confidence, your life, all those other areas?
Let me just get into first and foremost when I had the wake-up call. By every level, I was a success. The business was doing great. I'm in a great relationship. The money's there. The cars are there. But my cousin got a PhD, Rachel, and she was a trainer, or she still is. And she called me up one day, and she's one of my best friends. And she says, hey, Tom, we're having a normal conversation. And she goes, can I ask you a question? She goes, why don't you love yourself? And I said, what do you mean, Rachel? And she said, you're drinking a lot. I can tell you're not focused. You know, you've been able to accomplish so much. You read 2 books a week. You're on stages, but you don't look healthy. You don't look like you care for yourself. And I said, she goes, why don't you just take your shirt off, go look in the mirror and see if you're happy. See if that's really what you're going to be happy about. And, you know, that hit home really, really hard. And the idea of, you know, I believe in Jesus and I go to heaven, and Jesus takes this guy and he introduces him to me and says, this is what you were meant to be. This is the Father. This is the Son. This is the leader. You were supposed to be defined. You were supposed to be a walking billboard of discipline. This is what I had, but you never saw the clues. You didn't listen. Just so you know, that would be really tough. That's kind of like hell on earth, is like meeting somebody of the best version you could have became. And then I went on this trip to Idaho, and I'm with my buddy Travis Ringy, and he's got his shirt off and he's not drinking, and he's just chiseled. And I saw his discipline. And then, you know, a guy named Andy Elliott grabbed my fat, pinched my fat. This all happened within a month. And then my buddy Aaron Gaynor had me over for a barbecue. He rented a house in Paradise Valley, and his son was there. They had their shirts off barbecuing, and I wouldn't take my shirt off. I was embarrassed. But I stopped. I kept saying, I'm too busy. I'm like, I don't have time to go work out. Those are fanatics. Like what? But I had time to drink. I had time to screw off. I had time to go through social media. I had time to watch the stupid shows or movies. I always said I didn't have time, and that was an excuse. Until you admit you have a problem and you face your demons square in the face and look in the mirror and say it's you, it's not the society, it's not the world, it's not the administration, it's not the wars in Ukraine, whatever it might be. Until you say I've got a problem. So I finally admitted to myself that I could be better. And, you know, Jason what I do to cheat is I try to find the people that are in the best shape of their lives. So I called Jason, and he's one of your patients. And I said, dude, what are you doing? How are you doing this? I'm like, you got an 8-pack. You don't work out very hard, but he's very disciplined. I will give him that. Like, he doesn't drink a lot. He intermittent fasts. He does a lot of the things right. He goes, number one, Tommy, you're never going to want to work out if you don't feel great. If you got leaky gut, if your headspace isn't right, if you're not getting the right sleep, if your testosterone's low, and he just goes through all this stuff. He goes, you got to meet Dr. J. And so I went and saw you, and obviously there were a lot of issues. Nothing deadly, but you went through the 5 different things you check for, make sure. My estrogen, my leaky gut, all the different stuff I had going on. And I was not focused. I was cloudy. I'm getting calls every day from my team. What's gotten into you? You're so focused. You're so funny. You're so energetic. Your eye contact. You're just all there. Your memory. We could just tell. When I'm on stage, I'm on total recall. There's no like your nose. I'm just there. And I'm sleeping right. I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm on the right supplements. I'm taking creatine. I just put up 315 for a set of 10 with great form. And I don't have any pain. And I just want more. And I do SMART goals, which are specific, meaningful, attainable, realistic, and on a time basis. And this next event, September 25th, is the Freedom event. I said it'd be under 10%. Well, it was almost impossible for me to hit those numbers because I was at 27% when I started with you. 27.4. By the way, go get the DEXA scan. Go get the DEXA scan and know where you're at. You're not going to like the results. Bree got her results. She started crying to me. She goes, they called me obese. She said I'm fat. Like she was crying. And I'm glad that happened to her because guess what? She came home. I had my soulmate doing it with me because she cared about herself and my success. So we got rid of all the chips and the popcorn and the candy and all the oils and all the bad shit. And you told me the right protein. And you told me not the bars, not the crap, not the taste good stuff, but just it doesn't taste bad. It's just not very flavorful. But you said, I haven't met a bar that worked. And you gave us all, you basically wrote the plan down. And you said every doctor that we learned about with the food pyramid was wrong. Red meat's not going to kill you. In fact, it's going to make you stronger. And I'm telling you, I feel like I could fight a bull. And everybody sees it. This focus, this total recall, this mental. I wake up now at 5 a.m. I walked 3 miles this morning. I cold plunged and saunaed. And I started listening to the good voice. I really did. I started listening to this great voice in my head that said, keep going. Do an extra rep. Work out longer. And these little things that used to make me happy, like the second and third beer and like the Starbucks or like just the candy or popcorn at a movie or drinking soda, it's just so short-lived. It's like once you get done with it, you swallow it. Now, I'm looking at these pistachios, and this is a few months ago at the airport. I mean, if I go pretty hard, I'll burn about 500 calories in an hour. 3 servings, 300 a piece, because you got to look at the number of servings. That's 900 calories. And I'm not some maniac that's like doing crazy stuff. I'm just trying to make good choices. These little choices add up to be a lot. Like if me and you brush our teeth for 4 hours, we're not going to have great teeth. You could work out for 4 hours for a month and barely see a difference. It's consistency every day into the discipline. And that discipline, there's this awesome stuff in your body, right? You got serotonin, you got dopamine. And this dopamine gets naturally released. So I go into work happy. People see my mood. And now we've lost as a company in the last 3 months, 900 pounds that we've tracked. There's probably 1,500 pounds because people don't report it. They're embarrassed. And now it's a culture thing. Now I'm actually affecting a lot of people's lives. And that's only at A1. You should see the people that are, my Facebook group's 13,000. I mean, people are like watching this journey and now they say, if he could do it, I could do it because he's busier than me. And I am. I'm just making better choices. The TV's not important at all. I'm in bed by a certain time. I'm always a night hawk. I'm a night owl. Not anymore. I said, what is important that I'm doing at night? Nothing. But if I get my day started right, and I never wanted to sound like that guy. Oh yeah, the gym and I eat healthy. Like I was like, yeah, whatever. You're a doofus. Like what? All you care about is your body, your vein. No, it's the energy level. It's what I put out. It's calling my mom and showing up. It's like being a better son, a better brother, a better uncle, and soon to be, hopefully the next 5 years, a better dad. I can't tell you if you're not working on yourself. Like everybody wants to point the finger. I've never been through a 12-step program, but the first thing is admitting you have a problem. And if you know how to get the help, what's stopping you? Is it the money? Is it the time? Is it the same excuses? You're going to wake up one day. One of my good buddies, John Rowland, wrote the book Giftology. 46 years old. He's dead. He just died 2 weeks ago. 4 kids under the age of 17. And he was as healthy as could be, but tomorrow's not promised. I want to give myself an edge. I want to live. I've got a lot to live for, and I think I deserve to live. So I'm going to do all the right things. And you put me on, MK whatever and all these different, but look, it's working. I feel great. I'm a role model. I want to be the best version of myself. I'm not competing with anybody else but me. I know that's a really long-winded answer, but there's a lot to say there.
Hey, Dr. J here. If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and like the information that we're providing, be sure to subscribe and leave a review and like the podcast, because it helps us to be able to expand our reach to find other entrepreneurs. Your support helps us to reach other entrepreneurs and help us to help them truly unlock their superhuman potential and make the world a better place. It's because you've had quite the transformation. And that's one of the key things that people don't realize is how impactful their health is in every part of their life. Because that's how you show up. You walk through the door, everyone sees you, and you are there. And it determines your energy, how they perceive you. Exactly.
They look at you and they know if you make good decisions. They look at you and they're going to look at you and say, I want to be like that, or that's a lazy piece of shit. Giuseppe, sitting in the other room, this guy, he always made fun of me when I was overweight because he knew me when I was skinnier too. And we went to Nordstrom's and I was trying on stuff, and he's videoing me and he's like, oh, take off your shirt. And I'm like, get out of here. I had a belly. And I mean, it was embarrassing. And I was like, I go to pool parties and never take off my shirt. So there is a little bit of vanity. I want to look my best. But really, I'll tell you, in the scheme of things, having energy and the way I feel and the cloudiness being gone, no headaches ever, like showing up and just being all there. And people are like, yeah, but I love alcohol. You're not allowed to, you don't have to quit drinking completely. But what you start feeling is when you feel this euphoria, and it doesn't happen in 50 days. Like you got to set a pattern of like 5 months. And you got to have whoever's in your home. I mean, unless you got 5-year-olds, they're allowed to have Cheerios or whatever. But you got to have your partners involved. And you got to get people at work involved. And you got to have a community. If you got the community like Sean called me up this weekend and said, dude, I'm so proud of you. And Sean Michael Crane. And, you know, he's an inspiration because I see him pushing. And now I've had to change my circle. And I'm around healthy people now. I used to think, man, if I go golfing, I got to drink. If I'm shooting pool, I got to drink. If we're playing volleyball, we got to drink. Shoot, me and Giuseppe, we play soccer, we got to drink. And now it's like, I don't need that. And the alcohol wasn't the hard part. The sleep is always the hardest part. It's not because I'm depriving myself. It's just because I do pretty good at 6.5. I want to get 8. I know that's when my body's doing the molecular and cellular repairs that it needs to.
Yeah. So, and the thing too, you know, sometimes we have to change our friends group or different things, and really, hopefully, we're inspiring them so that they will change with us, and so they can be part of that new friends group too. So, So a couple things there I think is so important. You mentioned getting a DEXA scan, getting some lab work, figuring out where you are, because you said the first step is knowing where you are and knowing that there's a problem. And so many people are just afraid, especially men tend to be very afraid to know where they are health-wise. So I know you've seen that. You've worked with guys. You mentioned a friend that passed away just the past few weeks at way too young at 46. My dad suddenly passed away at 60, which is way too young, all these things. So if there was any hopeful superhuman entrepreneur out there who's afraid to get lab work done or afraid to kind of understand where they are with their health, what would you tell them?
You know, I'd say this, and I know what it's like. I used to not want to know what was in the as long as I knew what was in the bank account, I didn't care about financials. As entrepreneurs, we fly by the seat of our pants, and we're like, it's not going to happen to us. And really what I found with you is you're just like, you went through it. It's not a big deal. It's not this huge operation. They didn't put me through 20. I didn't go to Mayo and get tested by 80 things. You just said, look, these markers are off. We're going to fix it. And you just said, look, it's not complicated. It's not like I'm spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just you put me on a few things. You gave me a better multivitamin. You gave me the stuff that actually works. You said this protein's the best. It's not complex. It's not even burdensome. You could have somebody come to your house to take blood. I mean, it's not like this crazy, crazy thing, but it's like we're too busy. We don't want to do it. You know what you don't want is you don't want to know the truth, but you don't understand the truth might save your life. And it's hard to go to the doctor because you don't want it, but everything's preventable if you find out early enough. And I'm sitting here, it's hypocritical because I was so afraid. I didn't want to know. I was like, if it's my time, it's my time. That's something that idiots say. There's this old story that the preacher told years ago is, this guy's in this hurricane and he's in Miami and it's bad. it starts getting bad, and the ambulance comes and says, "We got to get you out of here." He goes, No, I believe in Jesus. He goes, "I'm praying. I'm fine." And the storm gets worse. It gets flooded. This guy's now in the second story. A speedboat comes by to pull him out of there. And he tells the speedboat, "Dude, don't worry. I prayed to my Lord. Nothing's going to happen. The Lord will answer my prayers." Anyway, now it's really bad. He's on his roof. He's up to here and up to his chest. And the helicopter comes out with stairs. They fly out and they say, "Jump on. It's your last chance." He said, No. My Lord will save me. Well, listen, he drowns. He goes to heaven. And he goes, "Jesus, why didn't you save me?" He goes, "What do you mean? I sent you an ambulance, I sent you a speedboat, and I sent you a helicopter. Take the signs. Just do something. And you need your significant other to go on this road with you." And sometimes they don't want to do it because they're alcoholics. And they literally, they're addicts. And they just don't know what to do. And it's so hard to do it alone. It's so hard. And it could be the end of a relationship, but that's a toxic relationship. And I'm going to tell you this, is growing up, when my parents got a divorce when I was 7, it was toxic. They argued about money all the time. And it was actually probably better for me and my sister that they did that. And I'm not advocating for divorce, but I'm just telling you, when you want to change so bad and you got somebody pulling you down all the time, it's like a crawfish that just, the guy's about to escape out of the bucket and they pull him back down. That's sometimes what people have their circle. They got somebody that's always ripping them down, pulling them right back in, whether it's drugs, alcohol, partying, womenizing, going to the strip club, whatever it might be. You got someone just continue to pull you back, and you're almost embarrassed because you want to get in shape. If you're embarrassed that you want more for your life, you want more health, you want to live longer, you want to be a better parent, you want to be a better husband, you want to be better of every aspect of leadership, you got to really evaluate who your friends are, because if you find yourself in a situation where you look at your circle and don't get inspired, that's called a cage, and you're stuck.
Love that. So this is a question I asked you way back our first day we met, or this a version of it. So what is your entrepreneurial superpower?
You know, it's pretty simple. I've been really, really great about asking for help. And I know that's hard to believe that's a superpower, but being a student for life and being a CEO or a founder that could see around corners, like if you want to be at the top of Google, search HVAC repair in your city, look who's at the top, make a phone call and ask. You don't need to go to Instagram and start reading books. I go find the best of the best. And I'm telling you, there's no doubt in my mind, I'll be a multi-billionaire because I'm never going to lose that trait of asking and continuing to change my circle. I was in Vegas at this massive, huge podcast. The guy's had every celebrity, Kim Kardashian on there. The guy goes, "Dude, you're the only one I've ever met that I feel like you're in a time machine. You're able to skip a decade because of the questions you're asking the people you're getting in front of." And with the circle, I keep getting access to bigger and better. And it's not only about money. It's about relationships and experiences and travel. It's about best friends and loving and caring. It's every aspect. There's family, faith, finance, fitness. And with you, I'm forgetting fitness. And I want all 4 of those. I want all 4 Fs to be at the top of their game.
So that's definitely a skill, asking questions. So is this something that where did you learn to ask questions?
I don't know exactly, but that's a skill. But if you were asking my real superpower, I'd say, listen, I'm good at relationships. I really do. I always think about what's in it for them. But the questions, I think since I was a little kid, all my grandparents told me I was their favorite. And I'm going to tell you why. I heard all their stories a dozen times over again, every single story. But I'd sit there and act surprised every time and smile. And I'd listen. I was a great listener since I was a little boy on their lap. And what I learned is especially when I'm around my elders, even though I know the answers, I just sit there and I listen. And I'm not thinking about what I'm saying next. I'm literally just listening, and I'm just smiling, and I'm looking for nonverbal cues. And I could show sympathy, and I could act shocked. And I just asking questions and acting engaged with eye contact and nodding my head. And if you do that well, it's actually a sales trait. There's a book by Daniel Pink called The Sell is Human. You're selling your kids every day. You're trying to teach them to be stronger, to be ready for this world. You're selling your wife. You're selling everybody around you how to win friends and influence people. That's another one is I enjoy reading. And when when I was in 2007, my CPA, he worked with 10 clients that were mega millionaires. And he said, I like you, kid. I'm just going to work with you for free. But you got to read every book I give you. He goes, what's the last book you read? And I said, To Kill a Mockingbird or Lord of the Flies in 11th grade. He's like, well, you got to be a reader because readers are leaders. Gave me the E-Myth Revisited. Gave me the Ultimate Man and the Ultimate Sales Machine, the Red Bible, he called it. He gave me the Richest Man in Babylon, the Wealthy Barber. He just kept handing me books, and all of a sudden, it was like I wanted more. And by reading and really studying, and by the way, I wasn't a great reader until I started reading a lot. And then Audible came out. Now I do both. But I'm just very curious. And I think that one quality is what is one of my superpowers.
Yeah, I think you came around to it. That's what I was thinking as you were going through this. Like, you're good asking questions because you're curious. Because you really want to know. You genuinely want to have that relationship with that person. And that's really what it comes down to. If, one of my favorite definitions of an entrepreneur is someone that levels up, helps people level up, whether you're making their garage door better or, making their business better or making their family life better or their fitness. And so to do that, you need to know them and have that relationship with that person. So I think, coming into, with all that superpower description, I think you being curious, I think is key, and wanting to be able to connect with those people.
I think so too. And, I tell my friends stuff they don't want to hear. I mean, right now I just told 3 of my great buddies in Michigan, I said, the first one that hits 12%, I'm giving 10 grand to. And everybody else, I'll give 1,000 to. And these guys need work. And they're going through the motions. And now they're hungry. And you know what a good friend does is he pushes you and she pushes you to the next level. And sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's just, it's like calling somebody out. Most people they think, if you're my friend, why would you say that? Like if there's a deformity, you don't call it out, but if you got bad teeth, then you say, go to the dentist, go to get the braces done. And if you could be so much better, someone needs to be there along your side to tell you the stuff you don't want to hear. And it's not easy, but one of my buddies was over a couple of months ago. It was about 6 weeks ago now. And I said, get your fat ass off the couch. We got to go. And he goes, did you just call me a fat ass? I go, yeah, you're fat. You're not in shape. You got cankles. Like, look at me. Look what I'm doing. Why can't you do it? Why can't you walk in the morning and walk at night? Why do you got to eat shit all the time? I called another guy out literally Saturday night. He's texting me all day today, everything he's eating. He stopped eating sweet. He cut it out because guess what? I'm a man enough to be able to call that out just like Giuseppe did with me. And just several people called me out. My cousin Rachel, without her, I probably wouldn't be doing this. But man, I got to tell you, I like who I'm becoming, inside and out. But I would say the outside is actually kind of molding into the inside too. It's just I'm coming in and saying, man, that guy actually respects himself. He shows up. He walks a little different. His eye contact. I haven't felt this way since my early 20s. When I walk into a place, like my confidence level is through the roof. Like I feel like I own the room. Like, when people walk in and there's like some aura or ambiance, like that's how I haven't felt this way. And that's priceless. All the money in the world. I know a lot of billionaires that die. They get on drugs and they overdo it. They never have the health piece. That's the one thing you can't buy. It shows you got hard work, dedication, consistency, discipline, everything. That's the one thing that people look at and they go, wow, I like that guy. I trust that guy. He actually respects himself.
Yeah. And the thing is that people don't realize is it's not that complicated when you do the right things. It's just stop putting the crap in your body that's going to kill you and do a little bit of the right things consistently every day, and you get the amazing results.
And it happened. Look, I'm telling you, I'm at the DEXA scan, and David, right? David goes, dude, you moved 25 pounds of fat to 25 pounds of muscle in 4.5 months. And I'm like, yeah, I'm on the right supplements for sure, but I'm doing the work. Everybody's like, TRT. Yeah, testosterone therapy. People don't understand what that is. It's not steroids. It's not like anabolic Winstrol and D-ball and all these different things. Literally what I'm doing is making my testosterone. My body's not producing the same that it used to. And I look at this. Here's Dr. J. Like when my dad was 40, that was called over the hill. Like you look in the 1980s and 90s, of what people looked like when they were 40. I feel like I'm 27. Like I want to stay young. I get facials. Like I put lotion on. Like I'm trying to take care of myself. I don't use the same deodorant. Like I don't want that stuff. Like I'm trying to eat as healthy as possible and get the vitamins and minerals. More because of the way I feel, but like I don't want to die. I don't want to look old and decrepit and be like crawling all over the place and barely get out of bed. I want to pop to it, and I know there's guys in their 80s that can run marathons. So I know as long as I stay active and do the work, keep an eye on what I'm ingesting. I don't want to drink my calories either. And that includes soda. That includes, coffee every now and then, maybe okay. But you told me you just don't drink coffee. If you're drinking coffee, just you've always said you could do stuff you like to do, but just be careful.
So as we're winding up here, what does success look like for you?
I had a big deal happen with A1. And I'm financially set up where I could retire 1,000 times over. And when you start reflecting at that, you realize money was it was a big deal to me because that's when my mom and dad got a divorce. But I bought a big house. But I lived in an apartment that I owned for 4 years to be close to my technicians that were training. And what I realized was what I'm buying is an opportunity to build experiences. Because that house is going to that's where we had my dad's 70th birthday, my mom's 70th birthday, Bree's niece, 3 years old. That's where we heard her birthday. We're actually able to stay around with our best friends. We're able to create experiences. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to France. I want to experience the world. I want to meet people. You cannot buy experiences. You could get the places and do the right things to make it happen. So for me, success is a lot more than money. It's going all in and being the best you could be at everything you do. It's putting discipline. What I've learned is when I listen to this good voice, it just takes me so much further. And it's rooted around discipline, not motivation, but discipline. And the more disciplined I get, the more dopamine I get, the more happy I get. And that's how God intended it. It wasn't meant to smoke weed and do all kinds of drugs. It was meant that it naturally gets released. And I'm very fortunate, man. I've been to China. I've been to Thailand. I've seen what people do. They work all week for $7 and they live in a hut. I'm very, very, very fortunate, and I'm very, very thankful. So continue to be thankful for what I have. Continue to push the envelope. I think God has a lot planned for me. I think he does. And I think I'm just getting started. I think today's day one. A lot of people say one day. I challenge them to say, is today day one or is it one day? Are you going to start? What's stopping you? Why don't you just get on it and go? Because before you know it, I'm 41. I know I'm going to blink. I'm going to be 51. I just hope I'm where I'm at the right place. I want to go fishing. I want to go golfing. I want to hang out with dad. I also want to build an empire. But I could have it all because I'm worth it. I believe I'm worth it. And I believe everybody that comes into my life will benefit. I don't want to ever convince people to believe in my God. I don't want to convince people to work out. I want them to see me and say, I want that. Because actions speak louder than words.
And you were kind of touching on there too. I think, this God that created us and put us here on this earth, he gave us no limits. The limits are there, we put ourselves. And so I'm really excited to be able to watch you over the next 10, 20, 100 years to see kind of where that potential leads. Go back to one of the things you said earlier. So when you show up at heaven and God shows you this is what your potential was, it is who you are at that time.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. And I'll tell you this, a lot of people that you're going to interview, they're going to come off like everything's great and they're dying inside. And there's a piece of them that they feel missing. Maybe something happened to them as a kid. I've released everything. I genuinely could say that I feel great. I'm not hiding anything. What you see is what you get. I feel great. This isn't some fake version of me. You come follow me around for the next year, you'll see this is the life I live. And I'm built on purpose. I have purpose. And I just want people to know is like I'm not some Instagram, person. Like I'm living what you see right now. This isn't like I'm not acting. You could come find me at any given day of any given week, including Mondays. Today's a Monday. And you'll see this is the real Tommy. And you're a big piece of that because without waking up with the energy, without having my body doing what it's supposed to be doing. Like, I know I couldn't become my best self because there's just things that I was putting into my body that just I didn't understand. I didn't have the knowledge. And now that I do, it's like, it's so cool. And I wish everybody would just get your blood drawn. Like, look after yourself and want more. You deserve it. Like, your family deserve it. The people around you deserve it. Your coworkers deserve it. The people that get to know you deserve to see the best version of you. So, don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Just call Dr. J, find out what's going on. And I'll tell you guys this. If you don't feel better in a month, tell me I'm full of shit. Find me online. Tell me how bad I am. But once you start seeing a little bit, you'll want a lot more. And you got to challenge yourself. You got to be around the right people. Like, I'm a competitive dude. So when people challenge me, tell me I can't do something. And so, they say you can't get down to 10% in that timeline. I'm just going to do it. And here's something I want to tell you real quick is, the big event coming up. Me and Bree were talking last night, and I forgot who came up with this idea. Who are we with? Brian, my brother-in-law. He's actually in the other room. He goes, you know what you should do is your next DEXA scan on September 20th. Have Giuseppe come in with you. Video it all. But don't look at the results. Have them put the results in a closed envelope and sign it and delete it off the computer because they send you one email too. And unveil it. And I'm a little nervous if I unveil it and I'm not under 10%. Like, I'll have 5 days just wondering if I hit it. But the deal is I got 26 days till that day. And I'm going to start, like, I'm doing great already, but I'm doubling down because I don't want any.
10.2 is not good enough.
No, it's going to get 10.2 is a failure. So I think that's what we're going to do. And I'll know just where my abs are at. But I'm doing everything in my freaking human nature. And by the way, it doesn't stop there. It's not like September 25th, go back to the alcohol and go back to eating like shit. The next one is Bora Bora in January. The next one is Pinnacle. And I'm setting a different goal for each one of those trips, physically, mentally, business-wise, faith-wise. It's the full package. And I want people to see me and say, man, that dude really, 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 he inspired people because of who he became. And I want people to remember, I'm exactly where you are. I came from nothing. I'm from Michigan. I didn't have the church helped us out at Christmas. Like, no one paid my way to get here. No one gave me an education. We had to do the work. I had to do the work. And as great as it all was, I didn't have my health. It just wasn't healthy, man. And I'd wake up and I could drink 4 days in a row and look fine and show up to meetings, but I wasn't fine. I don't know who I'm kidding and if people are listening to this, who you think you're kidding. You needed to hear this because I needed to hear it. And if it's through a podcast or whatever it is, this might change your life. This might save your life. This might make you a better dad or a better mom. So take this to heart. Just freaking do something. Start going for a walk. Just 168 hours in a week. You've got time. Delegate a little bit more. Show up in a different way. Watch what you're eating and just get your blood drawn. Find out if there's something bad going on. Find out if you got leaky gut. Just do it.
Well, and that's the whole goal of why I'm doing this podcast is because I want whoever is listening to this to at least do something. To don't stay stuck with where you're at. We need to make progress in this life. We're here. We have this unlimited potential. Let's make it happen. It happens with the first step. And that could be going for the walk, be the blood test, whatever it is. Something is tugging at your little heartstrings to know what you need to do. It could be the stop drinking. That could be huge. It's made a big difference for a lot of people. So don't get stuck doing the same thing. Let's learn, let's grow, and let's become superhuman. Tommy talks about how it kind of would be hell on earth to know that you're not maximizing your full potential. You're not being what God wants you to be and what God had planned for you. God has not put you here to play small, that he wants your light to shine. The real skill and the real superhuman entrepreneur power is being able to get back on track after you fail and learn from those mistakes. Asking questions is like a time machine, because when we can ask questions and we learn and apply and fail forward and apply those things and learn and fail and correct along the way, we can speed up results. You are the sum total of the 5 people you hang around with the most. If you're enjoying the podcast, help us reach more entrepreneurs like you by leaving a review. As a thank you, everyone who leaves a 5-star review will be entered into a drawing for some exciting prizes. We are here to help you more than just listen. Head over to superhumanentrepreneur.com, click on community, and join a powerful network of entrepreneurs that are striving to be their best. Each episode includes action steps, resources, and accountability to help you to implement these ideas and start seeing results.